Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back. I'm so excited you're here. And today, in this lesson, this is when I like to say the rubber meets the road. Today is when we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. All right. Today, this is when we get to become clean and we openly look at our faults of ourselves. Right. we we talk to creator about this and we talk to a person that we trust, but before we do that we need to identify what it is. Okay, this will allow us to chip away at, I guess we can say, like decay of our past, right? So we get to actually tap in to the negative effects of any hurts and pains and habits and addictions. Like it's kind of like tartar that has built up over the years. And it is now time to really let this go. And this keeps us from talking about the truth of our past and our present situation. Okay. So as we go through this, I want to realize that it's important for us to do this inventory in all significant events, the both the goods and the bad in our lives, right? Because we need to ask creator to show us how each of these events played an important part in our life. And what it also does is it also shows up how it affected ourselves and others. And then if we do this, it will allow us to step out of our denial, because we can't put our faults behind us until we face them. And that's what a lot of people think, like, well, let me just pack it in this box and put it in the attic and it won't bother me anymore. And how many of you are like, oh my God, I need to clean out the attic? Okay, this is your attic. It is time to clean out you. Okay, because when we do this, this is going to show us who we really are at our core. It'll show us the black and the white, and we have to focus on both the positive and the negatives, because so often we allow the negatives to overshadow our positives. Okay? We do. And we have to stop that. Because if we just focus on the bad parts, we distort our inventory, and then that just like opens the can of worms that affects ourselves and it creates unnecessary pain. All right? One of the Bible verses says, let us examine our ways and list them, and let us to return it to creator. We need to do a moral, honest inventory. And what if we break down the word moral, that is make time, open ourselves up, rely on creator, analyze our past honestly, and list it all out. Okay? So the first thing we need to do is we need to list the people we resent or fear. And when I tell y'all, when I did this spiritual inventory, Lord have mercy. Thank God I had a 5 subject notebook, because I had a whole bunch of stuff that needed to come out. And to this day, I will go back and look at that list just to see the growth that I have, which is why I think journaling is very, very important, because we can see our growth. We could see, even though for a while I couldn't really see the difference. But then when I would go back and read, I was like, wow, I was in not a good place. Or wow, look at how my thoughts and actions have changed since then. But then it also makes you see the things that you're still doing, right? So make the list. List the people that you resent or fear, the specific actions others have taken to hurt us, and the way those hurtful actions have affected our lives, and the injuries that we inflicted on others, right? So when we're looking at this to create our inventory, We need to look at our relationships with others. We need to look at our priorities in our life. We need to look at our attitude, our integrity, our mind, our body, our family. Okay? If you go to church, look at church. All right? Because when we confess all of this to Creator, our inventory of the good and the bad, we will find peace and freedom for which we have been searching for our entire lives. Out of the thousands of people that I've helped over the past 25 years, everybody comes to me and they're like, I just want peace. I just want happiness. Well, that just doesn't pop up one day because I can assure you, if it did just pop up, because we're not accustomed to it, we're going to do something to sabotage it. It's just what happens. And one of the classes I love to teach is called Gamifying Your Life. And what Gamifying Your Life talks about, it's like back in the day, my time, it's about to tell my age, when Atari first came out. Yes, when Atari first came out, and we had put in the cartridge. Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and all them were some of my favorite games. But what happened? Like chicken crossing the road. You couldn't go to the next level until you conquered this level. So when I hear people say I take 5 steps forward and 3 steps back, when they say that, what that means to me is you jump further than you were mentally, emotionally, and physically ready for, which is why you had to come back. Because that's like me getting my friend to come over here and get me to level 10 in Pac-Man and then leaving when I was still over here on level 2. I'm not equipped. I didn't learn lesson 3 through 7 to be able to sustain level, or 3 through 9 to sustain level 10. And that's what happens, right? So when we sit here and we bring up our shortcomings and our resentments and the things that we've done wrong, and we come clean and admit that wrong is wrong and that we're guilty as charged, then that frees us, right? It does. And how do we do this? Okay, first we have to confess our shortcomings, our resentments, and our sins. We have to admit those things because I know I used to sit there and think I was the best person to the in the world. But then when I sat there, I started seeing some of the things of how I hurt other people. Not intentionally. It was not my intention to hurt people, but hurt people hurt people. Okay, I'm gonna repeat that again. Hurt people hurt people. I was hurting, and so I hurt people. It's just what it is. It was hard. It was hard for me to accept it, but I went and asked for forgiveness. And I explained to those people why I hurt them and how it was never my intention and from what viewpoint I was coming from when I did what I did. Because I forgave myself first. I asked Creator for forgiveness. Some people didn't want to listen to me. Some people I just had to write in my journal a letter to them. But it's okay, right? We have to obey Creator's direction. We No more guilt, right? No more guilt. We have to face the truth to allow easing of the pain. We have to stop blaming and we have to start accepting forgiveness. Okay? Because so often we feel if we admit the things that we've done wrong, we'll lose everything. And we feel like we have nothing to gain. But how do you know? How do you know unless if you try? How do you know? How do you know? It's that's one of the things that I'll always ask when people say they fear a thing. I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? Write that down. If you fear something, what's the worst that can happen? Write that down. And then figure out how to make sure that doesn't happen. Right? So let's talk about what we will lose if we give this stuff up. If we say, you know what? All right, Toya, I'm going to face the mirror. I'm going to face the person in the mirror. Because if you're anything like me, I might have looked in the mirror, but I didn't see nothing. I avoided my reflection. I didn't want to face me. But once I started facing me, this is what began to happen. Our sense of isolation, our feeling of being lonely will begin to vanish. Our unwillingness to forgive. When people accept and forgive us, we start to see that we in turn can forgive others and we can forgive ourselves. So when we start to forgive ourselves for the things that we didn't know any different, then we didn't know any better, even if our gut was telling us, no, this ain't the right thing to do, and we still did it, and then we said, like, I knew better, still forgive yourself. You did know better, but you still went ahead and did it, and it's okay because we can't go back and change that. So forgive yourself. The other thing that we lose is our inflated false pride. Hello, ego, right? And as we realistically see and accept ourselves, then guess what? We begin to gain true humility, which involves seeing ourselves as we really are, right? And our sense of denial, being truthful with another person, begins to tear away at our denial. Then we begin to feel clean and honest, like we don't have secrets, like we have to hide, right? Which then turns back into isolation. What will we gain? What will we gain? Well, the one thing we would gain is healing, and that is promised to us in the Bible. It says, confess your sins to another and you will be forgiven, right? Freedom, our secrets that keep us in chains, bound, frozen, unable to move forward in any of our relationships with anyone else, ourselves, with Creator. It holds us back. And when we admit these things, it breaks the chains so that we're able to receive the healing power and that can be released within us, right? Support. When we share our inventory with another person, guess what? We gain support. It is important to have an accountability partner. And it needs to be someone that you can trust and that allows you to stay on track. That they are there when we can confront the spirit of truth and live without piling on the shame and the guilt. The trouble with most of us is that we'd rather be ruined by praise than saved by criticism. And and that comes from the way we were raised. It's like I tell my grandchildren and my nephews, unfortunately, I didn't have this wisdom when I had my children. I wish I did, but I have it now. So I put it into play now is so often we were only praised when we accomplished something that our parents wanted us to accomplish. And when we didn't accomplish it, we were faced with criticism. So we so often heard the words, I'm proud of you, when we accomplished things that they wanted us to accomplish. And what I tell my grandchildren, my nephew, every time I see them, is I'm proud of you for being you. I'm not attaching me being proud of them to a particular outcome. I'm just proud of you for being you, whatever version of you that's showing up today. I'm proud of you for being you. Now, when they accomplish something that they want to accomplish, I'll tell them, I'm happy that you accomplished and you reached the goal that you were trying to reach. I am happy for you. Two different things. And so I see this in adults all the time now, is that we would rather be ruined by praise than saved by criticism, because the first time somebody criticizes us, what do? We get defensive, and we get mad, and we get angry, and we feel resentment. And I'm not saying that your accountability partner is supposed to be criticizing you, but they should be giving you honest feedback. They should be sitting there saying the things that you need to hear and see, not what I'm going to be over here patting you on the back saying it's okay. No, if you're sitting here crying to me about you're unhealthy and you're sick, just like my accountability partner had to do, and you're over here eating badly, drinking, not exercising, then I don't want the, I'm going to call you out on it. I'm not going to pacify you. No. For what? No. That's a violation. Okay? So, when we're doing this inventory, we have to establish our priorities in life. Because here's the one thing I know for certain, and this is a guiding principle of human behavior. And I have studied human behavior for many, 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 many years. I have gone to school to study human behavior. Is that human beings do whatever is important to us, and others can identify our priorities by our actions, not our words. Plain and simple. Because the one thing I know for certain, and every client I've ever worked with, including myself, if I set my mind to something, I always accomplish it. I know that to be fact. It's fact. And I see so many of my clients, when they set their mind to accomplish something, they accomplish it. So why not accomplish making you a priority in your life? All right. So ask yourself these questions. After making the decision that you're going to turn over your life and your will to Creator, and what areas of life are you still not putting Creator first? What closets are you refusing to let Creator enter and clean out? Next question. What in your past is interfering with your willingness or ability to do Creator's will? What about your ambitions? Is your life driven by the desires to serve Creator, or is it driven by envy or desires for life pleasures? Third question. What has been your priorities in your job? What has been your priorities in your friendship? What have been priorities in your personal goals? Whom have been our priorities? How has our priorities affected those? What has been good about our priorities? What has been wrong with them? And all of these questions will be attached. I'll give you a link so you can get the documents. So you'll have these questions, okay? Our attitude. Do we have an attitude of gratitude, or do we find ourselves frequently complaining about our circumstances? In what areas are you ungrateful? Have we gotten angry or blown up at other people? Have we been sarcastic? What in our past is still causing us fear and anxiety? Our integrity is the big one. There are no degrees of honesty. Either we're truthful or we aren't. It's just plain and simple. Like, this is not one of these situations where it's a yes, maybe, no. It's either yes or no. Okay, there is no in between. So, in past dealings, when have you been dishonest? Have you taken things? Have you exaggerated your abilities or your strengths to make yourself look better? what areas of your past have you practiced false humility? Have you pretend to live one way in front of your friends and behave another way at home or at work? You know, most of us can say yes to that, right? Our mind, the most difficult thing to open is a closed mind. It is. And the reality is, two competing thoughts can't occupy our mind at the same time. So it's our choice whether our thoughts will be constructive or destructive, positive or negative. We get to choose that. And so my question to you is, as you're doing the spiritual inventory, is how have you guarded your mind in the past? What thought patterns have you consciously denied entry into your mind? And have you failed to concentrate on the positive truths of the Bible, our body? In what ways have you mistreated your body? When I tell you, when I got to this one, Lord, I needed about 10 pages. Joking, but it was a lot. It was a lot. Because I had mistreated myself so badly, so badly. And what activities and habits have caused harm to your physical health? Because what I realize is people insist that we have freedom to do whatever we want to our own bodies. Although we think this is freedom, it ultimately causes us great harm and pain. Our family. Have we mistreated anyone in our family? Who in our family do we harbor resentment toward? Who do we owe an amends? What family secrets have we been denying? And if you go to church, have you been faithful to your church? Have you been critical instead of active or supportive? Have we discharged our family's support of their church? These are questions to ask yourself. This is how we do our spiritual inventory. So take some time, find someone that you can have this conversation with. And if you don't have anyone, reach out to me. Okay. Let's let's get your physical inventory together. Let's face these things, right? So, our next lesson, we're going to actually talk about how to face these things and how we move forward, right? Until then, I'll see you later. Sending you lots of love.